For decades, the rhythm of the European road was set by a familiar cast of characters. The rumble of a Volkswagen in Berlin, the zip of a Fiat in Rome, the utility of a Renault in Paris. Then came the first great disruption: Tesla, the American upstart that promised a silent, electric future. But in the autumn of 2025, the wind shifted again. As the leaves turned in October, a new statistic emerged, one that would have seemed impossible just 5 years ago. For the fourth consecutive month, the disruptor became the displaced. In October 2025, the Chinese automaker BYD didn't just outsell Tesla in Europe. They sold nearly 3 times as many cars. It is a moment that signals not just a change in market share, but a fundamental realignment of the global automotive order. How a company once viewed as a niche entrant has come to challenge the giants, and what the bloodbath, as some analysts call it, means for the future of European mobility. To understand the magnitude of this shift, we must look at the raw numbers released by the European Automobile Manufacturers Association, or ACEA. In October 2025, across the European Union, the UK, and EFTA nations, BYD registered 17,470 new vehicles. Compare that to the same time last year, and you are looking at a surge of nearly 207%. In that same 30-day window, Tesla, long the poster child for electric mobility, saw its registrations drop to just 6,964 units, a decline of 48.5%. It's a striking divergence. You have BYD tripling its presence year over year, while Tesla has effectively halved its monthly output in the region. In the EU specifically, the gap is even wider, with BYD hitting over 13,000 units against Tesla's 5,600. This isn't an anomaly. It is a trend that has been building all year. From January through October of 2025, BYD's registrations have totaled over 138,000 units. While Tesla still holds the lead for the year to date at roughly 180,000 units, their trajectory is pointing downward, falling nearly 30% compared to 2024. The momentum undeniably has shifted. So, what happened to Tesla? For years, the Model Y and Model 3 were ubiquitous sights in cities from Oslo to Madrid. But the October data paints a grim picture for the American brand. The drop was so precipitous that Tesla fell behind Porsche in monthly sales. Porsche, a luxury brand selling high-performance sports cars, recorded 7,653 sales in October. Even facing their own sales decline, they still managed to usurp the American EV giant. The market share data tells the story. Tesla's share of the European market has fallen from 2.2% last year to just 1.3% today. It's a combination of an aging model lineup and fierce price competition. While Tesla retreats, the void is being filled. But it is not just BYD filling it. The entire electrified segment is recalibrating. If we zoom out, we see that BYD is the spearhead of a much larger formation. Chinese automakers now hold 6.8% of the total European new car market. In October alone, 75,000 vehicles from Chinese brands were sold across the continent. And while BYD grabs the headlines with its growth percentage, they are not actually the volume leader among Chinese groups. That title belongs to SAIC Motor, the owner of the historic, now Chinese-owned MG brand. SAIC had a formidable October, moving nearly 24,000 units. They are up 56% for the month. When you combine SAIC and BYD, you're looking at powerhouses that are no longer niche. They are mainstays. 36% of the new cars sold by these Chinese brands in October were battery electric. The bestseller among them? The small, accessible BYD Dolphin. It suggests that the European consumer, burdened by inflation and energy costs, is voting with their wallet for affordability and availability. But what of the home team? The historic European marques that have defined this continent's industry for a century? The Volkswagen Group remains the undisputed volume leader. With over 105,000 units sold in October, they are holding their ground, showing a modest growth of nearly 6%. Within that massive German conglomerate, there's a Spanish success story: Cupra. Cupra is the fastest growing brand cumulatively in the group. Up 39% year on year, they recorded over 20,000 registrations in October. It shows that European brands can still capture the public's imagination with the right design and positioning. Others are finding the road more difficult. Stellantis, the group behind Peugeot, Citroën, Fiat, and Alfa Romeo, is down 6% for the year. However, Renault is fighting back, posting a 10% increase in October, making it the fastest growing among the traditional European firms for the month. It is a fractured landscape. The Germans holding steady, the French fighting for position, and the Chinese swiftly climbing the ladder. There is a misconception that Chinese cars are simply being shipped in on massive freighters, dumped onto the market. But BYD's strategy is far more permanent. They call it long-term localization. Maria Grazia Davino, BYD's regional managing director for Europe, recently spoke in Frankfurt. Her message was clear: to win in Europe, you must be European. In line with successful competitors, we need to have proximity and win proximity to the European customers. Localizing in a mature region like Europe is a very important project. It requires knowledge, dedication, investments, and resources at all levels. BYD plans to double its network of retail points next year, targeting 2,000 outlets. They're not just selling cars, they're building infrastructure. Perhaps most significantly, they are building factories. A major production hub is set to open soon in Hungary. They are eyeing additional facilities in Turkey and Spain. This transition from importer to manufacturer is designed to insulate them from tariffs and weave them into the local economy. As the brands battle for dominance, the technology powering these vehicles is also shifting. The narrative that electric vehicles have stalled isn't entirely true, but it is nuanced. Battery electric vehicles, or BEVs, now hold a 16.4% share of the European market. In Germany, BEV registrations jumped nearly 40% in October. However, the true kings of the road in 2025 are hybrids. Hybrid electric cars command nearly 35% of the market. Plug-in hybrids are also surging, up 43% in October. We are seeing incredible growth for plug-ins in Spain and Italy. Meanwhile, the engines of the past are fading. Petrol registrations have fallen over 18% across major markets. Diesel continues its slow death, now holding less than a 10% market share. The European consumer is transitioning. They are moving away from pure combustion, but they are choosing a mix of electric and hybrid solutions. And increasingly, they are choosing brands that didn't exist on this continent a decade ago. In late 2025, the map of the European automotive industry is being redrawn. BYD has effectively tripled its sales, while Tesla searches for a way to arrest its slide. The legacy automakers, Volkswagen, Renault, and others, are entrenched in a battle to protect their turf, relying on hybrids and new sub-brands like Cupra to keep consumers loyal. Maria Grazia Davino of BYD noted that expanding in a mature market requires dedication and resources. The October numbers suggest that this dedication is paying off. The question for 2026 is no longer if Chinese automakers can compete in Europe, but how the rest of the world will adapt now that they have arrived.